Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was the most prominent human rights leader in the United States from the mid-50s until his assassination in 1968. His career focusing on ending the residue of slavery in the United States. Today, we honor his legacy and welcome back journalist and author Herb Frazier. Thank you so much for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So when we think about the day, I mean, we've been honoring and celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day for many years now. Yes. Do you find that his legacy is getting diluted a little bit in sort of the more commercialization of the holiday? Are people actually understanding and remembering the man and what he stood for?
I think people are. I think I'm encouraged to see that throughout the year, there are 365 days in a year, as we know, right, that we don't necessarily concentrate on looking at Dr. King and his legacy and his philosophy on just this one day. But throughout the year, you see references made to him, and scholars and writers are always referring to him in their writings and their comments and their analysis of what's going on today. Now, of course, some people refer to Dr. King, I guess, in not so sincere ways. That some people refer to Dr. King when they want to make a point, but when you look at the total span of their philosophy, they are not living up to Dr. King's philosophy. So,
and you mentioned scholars and learned people who,
yes,
who do focus on his work in their own study. But what about the layperson walking down the street? What about the rest of us that, you know, we didn't live through those times, so we didn't necessarily see firsthand. Where do we go from 2023 and beyond?
Well, this is the day, I guess, to remind people, and you have to do it rather constantly, because you can't do it just one time and think that everyone is going to get the message at the same time. So on this time of the year, it is important, as what you're doing now, to remind people that there is a philosophy of love and nonviolence, of understanding, of empathy, which is important, that I think you have to do it not only today, but throughout the year. And there are organizations throughout this country that are maybe not referring to Dr. King explicitly, but they are still pushing that message of love and understanding and nonviolence.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because when you listen to him giving a speech, as I did listening to one of the last speeches that he had given at a church before his assassination, the way in which he spoke about love and nonviolence and empathy. In fact, one of the things that he said was, with the advent of technology these days, the world is now becoming a neighborhood, but from that neighborhood, we need to develop that brotherhood. So where do you find that we've made strides? Where do we still need to do the work?
Well, we've made developments and strides. I think the YWCA of Charleston, that is, I think, for the local community, they are the go-to organization, one of the go-to organizations, I should say, that preaches and teaches the elimination of racism, and that's infused throughout their list of programs that they offer. Now, without getting too political,
of course, yeah,
you can see what's going on right now in the halls of Congress. The evasion of truth, the not wanting to speak the truth, not wanting our kids to learn the truth about the history, the African American experience in this country. I think that needs to move more to the King philosophy, towards more truth. And about a month before Dr. King was assassinated, he spoke at a school in Maryland, and he talked about the need for a truthful recitation of the African American experience, because that's fundamental towards the path of healing. And you see this book here, this is my latest book. I co-authored this collection of essays and poems with the late Horace Mungeon. And the book is Ukweli, Searching for Healing Truth. South Carolina poets and writers examine American racism. And in this book, Ukweli is the Swahili word for truth. And the writers of this book we felt as though we needed to sort of take a look at the multitude of experiences and problems that African Americans have faced in this country, and always looking towards the truth. And this truth, this narrative of truth, will put us on a path of understanding, empathy, and kind of dealing with the traumas of the past, particularly the traumas of slavery, which have lingered for generations in this country. And all that goes right back to that simple message that Dr. King taught us: nonviolence, the truth.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful message to end on. Unfortunately, our conversation has come to an end, but I want to pick this up again and invite you back, because you have another book that's going to be
Yes.
coming out in June. And
Yes.
what is the title of this book?
The title of that book is Sleeping with the Ancestors: How I Followed the Footprints of Slavery. I've written this book with Joe McGill, who is founder of the Slave Dwelling Project.
Oh, yes.
In the last
Yes.
decade, Joe has traveled the United States, and he spent nights in over 200 slave dwellings in 25 states in the United States to illustrate the importance for the preservation of these structures, because they're important in telling the African American narrative, a true narrative of the contributions that Black people made to build this country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Herb Frazier, I want to thank you so much for joining
Thank you.
us today, and we'll see you again soon.
All right, thank you. Take
We're
care.
back after
All
this.
right.